Disney, you did it to me again.
This song's gonna get stuck inside you. This song's gonna get stuck inside you. This song's gonna get stuck inside you.
It's never gonna go away.
It's laser time and we're gonna do a review. Yes, we're gonna review. We'll talk about movies and comics too. Let's all go watch the review. Yeah.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Lazerdude review. Today's review, we are reviewing the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Which I think goes without saying, considering it's the Lego Movie 2. So the Lego Movie was one of the biggest shocks I've ever experienced in a movie theater. You know, like, I remember I wasn't going to see it. It was only because you loyal subscribers said you have to see the Lego Movie that I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. And my mind was blown away of how creative it was, how funny it was, and the level of jokes upon jokes upon jokes. And underneath all of that, a really good story. And so now it's time to go on to the second one. The funny thing about the Lego Movie 2 is that it kind of picks up right off of the first one, and then it goes into a way that... Because, okay, if you haven't seen the first Lego Movie, then shame on you. But, you know, the first Lego Movie ended with showing the real world, and that Emmett was, like, one of the only Lego characters that could almost interact with the real world. And then the bombshell of the last movie was... you know, we gotta let your sister play with the Lego too. And that was like, oh no, what do we do now? And I like how this movie expands on that. You know, it goes forward with that idea. The idea of two siblings having to share Legos together, and they puts it in that way on a humongous scale. So the story in the Lego world is basically the town of Bricksburg has dissolved into a dark dystopian future. Everyone is brooding and acting real dark and grown up, you know, because, you know, the things have changed. Everyone out of course except Emmett, who still acts as playful and fun and lovable as always. This does work very well in terms of humor, with everyone else brooding and Emmett being like, oh, hey, how's it going? Nice day, isn't it, today? Isn't the apocalypse looking wonderful today? But then this alien being coming from a Duplo world takes Wildstyle and the other characters away from Emmett, and then he gets into a spaceship and travels across the galaxy to the Sistar system through the Stairgate. Man, this franchise still knows how to make the best puns. And along the way, Emmett comes across the ideal version of himself that he wants to be. Cool, manly, suave, has basically all the attributes of everything in Chris Pratt's career. But, yeah, and then they together decide to go over to save Lucy and the gang. So here's the thing, you know, when everyone compares sequels, a lot of the times, you know, people say, well, does this hold up to the original? I almost don't look at this movie as... I don't want to compare it to the original, because the original Lego Movie had everything set up perfectly. Its world, its pacing, its characters, everything was set up perfectly, and so that's what made it such a worked piece. And like there was a hidden gem of humor every 5 seconds. This one, I don't think it's as worked or as developed in the exact same way, but I think it's because it's not searching to meet the same goal. You know, the other movie was trying to blow your mind with how amazing it could be by just being a product movie about Legos. This movie is like, let's continue and make a funny movie. And I think that while the themes in this honestly, the themes are good, and I want to get into the spoilers right away to talk about them, but it's not as hitting home as the last film, and I think all the elements in the story don't work towards the goal 100%, But overall, I still think it's very fun. I still like all the characters. In fact, I like the stuff that they did with Wild Style. I like all the different stuff that they did with her. It gave a lot of interesting depth to her character, and the very last thing that they show at the end, I thought that was hilarious. But I do think it's an interesting theme of growing up and handling what growing up means in a different way. You know, it's like Emmett, everyone's telling Emmett he has to grow up, be darker, and be more adult in the way he's thinking of things. And that's because the kid in this movie is growing up, and so he's wanting his themes and the stuff he's building to be more adult and more badass, basically. And I like how they made it kind of make sense in their world and the real world. You know, the kid's growing up, so he doesn't want to build a regular city anymore. He wants to build a dystopian future. And so what do they do for that in the Lego world? They talked about how these things from the Sistar system kept on taking anything shiny or anything, you know, that looked remotely sparkly and kept on taking it away to the Sistar system. And in that way, the way you can take from it is that the brother didn't want to play with his sister, so he kept on making things more dark and twisted that she wouldn't find interesting and gave her all the girly stuff, which probably includes everything from Cloud Cuckoo Land. Oh wait, that was destroyed. The thing that this movie tries to really get at is like the not wanting to grow up or be, you know, dark too quickly, you know? There's no rush to let the world corrupt your soul. But also, I like how it's like the way it handles the different age groups with the brother and sister and how they're different play styles. Because like the way she plays affects the world. You know, in the end, both of these people, both of these sides of Legos in this battle, whatever, they're both still made out of Lego bricks. But the difference is how the kids play. For example, like there's that scene in the trailer where Batman throws a batarang and it hits the Lego thing, and the Lego thing goes, "Miss me?" He's like, "No, I did not." Well, that's actually not a bad Lego Batman voice. "I have chiseled abs." But anyways, it reminded me of a time when I was a kid, and I'm the youngest in my family, so I don't really have a whole lot of experience with that. But I did have this one time, I was playing with this kid who was quite a few years younger than me, and so we were both trying to use action figures and both trying to use our imagination, but I was trying to be a little bit more realistic, so I'd be like, "Oh, I punched you," and you know, when you punch him, you fall down, you're like, "Oh, that hurt, oh, but now I'm gonna get back up." And he was like, "No, you didn't, I beat you. Yeah, you're dead. I'm like, "No, but you see, we gotta, you know, it's like, you gotta be hurt too." It's like, "I hit you." It's like, "No, deflected, you're dead. It's like, gosh, honestly, as a kid, it drove me insane. And I like that's kind of the way we think. The sisters' toys are like very crude and a lot of them are Duplo toys. You know, they're like more for kids. But the way she plays with them makes them more powerful just because her playstyle. There's a lot of like this one goes to the real world, to the Lego world a lot more than the last one did, which makes it a little bit less special. Pun not intended. You know, when the first time it happened, it was a mind blowing, like, wow. And here it's just like, okay, you know, comparing and contrasting the two stories. Just part of the deal. But in the end, I want to go into the spoilers really bad, so I'm gonna wrap up this part of the review. I like the way they handled Emmett. I like the way they handled Wild Style. The other characters, unfortunately, are put a little bit more by the wayside. Like, the other characters had their humor arcs, almost. You know, you had Benny with the spaceship thing. He keeps on trying to build a spaceship. He's denied to the point where he finally gets to build one. He goes absolutely insane. They just bring up the word spaceship a few times. Unikitty had this thing where she kind of had a dark side hitting behind her, and it slowly built up through the movie. And then at the end, she just goes absolutely nuts, which leads to humongous laughs because they have the perfect build-up. Here, none of the characters really have anything of that. There are a lot of references to stuff and stuff that happens, but it's not the same. Not the same thing because the movie doesn't have the exact perfect pacing of the first one. and the perfect way to include all the characters. A lot of the characters, the side characters, feel like they're just thrown in here because the only real characters that it needs to focus on is Lucy and Emmett. The other one I think worked together more as a whole piece, but I think that this one works as a movie overall. So I'm gonna give the Lego Movie a 7 out of 10. You know, it's just a good movie. I think it's a good movie. I think the last Lego Movie was, I think, although I might place it over Lego Batman, because Lego Batman had a little bit more of themes that I didn't really care for. It was just like obvious, and they kept on hitting you over the head with it. I'm just like, okay, I get it. Batman should have learned this by now. I didn't see the Ninjago movie, but out of all the Lego movies that I've seen, I'd rank it number 2. Okay, now it's time for my spoiler part of the review. Is my spoiler warning. If you haven't seen this film, please go do so, and then come back here. So, the thing that I really liked, when Wildstyle's thinking that the characters are being brainwashed, I don't think they are. Like, the movie shows that they're not, but what it is they're being played with by a different person, and that's changing their mindset. You know? I think the way I view it is like, these toys, these Lego pieces, are influenced by whoever's playing with them, and since they're being played by the little girl, she wants Batman to marry this heart thing and bring them closer, you know, so Batman starts wanting to do that too, just because that's who he's being played with at the time. Why Wildstyle is immune to it, I guess because she and Emmett have a connection, and he has like a connection to the outside real world sort of thing. But I like that I like the twist that the changing queen was actually like the heart that Emmett made. I thought that was really cool. I didn't see that coming. What I did see coming was that Rex was actually Emmett, but I think we all kind of figured that from the trailer when, you know, they were obviously making it that this is Chris Pratt, so it was like, well, obviously it's still Emmett, you know? I think it's kind of weird that he's able to invent actual time travel in this weird world, but it's part of his backstory, because you can hear in, there's a quick scene where before the little sister grabs all the other toys, he says, I'm working on this time travel thing, you know, it's like, so obviously, like, his character was made that way, so it's still part of the play, but I don't know, I think it's supposed to imply that he actually traveled back in actual time, but I don't know if that's still just part of the play, or if this is actual, like, his imagination curated a character that's capable of time travel. But in any case, I like the whole thing of being a master destroyer. You know, you can build everything, but then you can also destroy everything. I like that. And I like the themes with the brother and sister, although I don't think it's as strong with the way the father and son dynamic worked in the last film. I like Elizabeth Banks' Wildstyle quite a bit. I like the whole character. There's a lot of stuff in here I'm just saying I like. I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. There's not a lot I dislike. I mean, they had like a few songs that were really funny, and one that's gonna get stuck inside your head. This song's gonna get stuck inside your. This song's gonna get stuck inside your. It's already stuck inside my head. But anyway, I also like how they incorporated like the Lego "Everything's is Awesome" into like a song. Everything's not awesome, but we can still work together if we're part of a team. And I don't know how they worked that into an emotional moment. Not that I actually cried, but I don't know how they worked that into an emotional moment, but I did kind of like, oh, that's nice. That's really nice that they made that little silly song that's supposed to be about corporate control and greed and trying to say to everybody everything is awesome when it's not. They made it into a nice little song about empowerment. This sound's gonna get stuck inside your head. But speaking of new stuff, though, there's also that Queen character, and I like how she changed. There is a weird thing with that ice cream cone that kept on saying stuff that I didn't really care for. But the banana peel was hilarious. That he kept on slipping on himself. I like how the end it combines the two worlds of the silly sister stuff and the dark brooding brother stuff, and it puts them together into a new sort of world. And, I don't know. I just like it. I like how nobody's really down on Emmett, like his friends aren't. Lucy's like, well, I wish he would kind of grow up, but I don't dislike him or anything. And I like how the theme is like, you know, when kids try to grow up too quickly, that's not a good thing, you know? It's like kids can be kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. Its point isn't as 100% clear as the first one was. It's like, is that the thing, or is it the brothers sisters need to get along, or like its message isn't 100% as straightforward and clear as the first movie was. But I think the humor is very good, not as good as the first one. In the end, Lego Movie, the second part, is not as good as the first one, but more of what you want to see. Although maybe there was one too many songs in this film. I think that song with Batman singing to the... I didn't like Batman being engaged to that woman just because I'm a little bitter. But anyways, I do like the nods. I like the whole thing was like, well, with the Justice League gone and with Marvel not returning our calls... That was a good joke. Stuff like that was really funny. Yeah, what can I say? I thought this movie was enjoyable. Thought it was fun. Was that the same kid in the flashback where he gives his sister the heart? Are those the same kids? Because if those are the same kids and they shot a scene together years before, because it looked like him as a young kid. So if they shot that around the time where the Lego Movie was, and Lord and Miller knew that this was going to be the main plot of the second film, if that was the case and they shot that scene just because they might need it, if that's the case, then bravo. But I didn't get a good look, and my memory's not exactly sharp. It might have been a look-alike, but either way, it looked alike enough to me. So yeah, my thorough recommendation for the Lego Movie, the second part. I thought it was fun, and I'm interested to see if they go anywhere with it. I'm not sure if they need to. They didn't leave any cliffhangers. I actually sat through the credits. Nothing. So they didn't leave it up to anything, so maybe this is the end, but for this particular Lego Movie franchise. And if it is, that's okay. You know, it's better to end while you still have done with it as much as you can, and you're not making things super forced. I mean, like, what's next? You know, I was like... You're gonna have friends come over with their different Legos. Let's not make more of this than what we need to. So thanks for watching, everybody. I am Lazerdude. Be sure to join me on my next. Come on! I just got Everything Is Awesome out. See you around. Be sure to check out some of these other videos on my channel. And wait for more coming soon.